India is facing a very unusual economic moment right now, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has made a rare public appeal asking Indians to avoid buying gold and even postpone foreign travel for about a year. And this statement has triggered massive debate across financial markets, middle-class households, jewelry businesses, and social media, because for Indians, gold is not just a metal or an investment, it is deeply emotional, cultural, and connected to weddings, festivals, family savings, and financial security. So when the Prime Minister directly asks citizens to reduce gold purchases, people naturally want to know what exactly is going on behind the scenes. And the answer lies in the growing pressure on India's economy due to rising global tensions, especially in West Asia, where ongoing conflict has pushed up crude oil prices, fertilizer costs, and supply chain disruptions across the world. And this becomes a serious issue for India because our country imports nearly 85% of its crude oil requirements and more than 90% of the gold we consume, which means every time Indians buy imported gold, billions of dollars leave the country, increasing pressure on the rupee, the foreign exchange reserves, and the current account deficit. And according to the report, gold alone accounts for nearly 9% of India's total import bill, second only to crude oil. So from the government's perspective, this is not simply about jewelry shopping, it is about protecting economic stability during a time of global uncertainty. And what makes the situation more serious is that India's gold imports have reportedly collapsed in recent months, falling from nearly 100 tons in January 2026 to around just 15 tons in April, one of the lowest levels seen outside the COVID period. And experts say this is happening because of a combination of high prices, administrative delays, customs bottlenecks, and disruptions in the authorized banking system that handles gold imports, which has now started creating supply tightness in the domestic market. And analysts are warning that if demand rises again during the festive and wedding season later this year, India could face even sharper price spikes and shortages. And this explains why the government wants people to temporarily slow down consumption before things become harder to control. And the timing is also very important because globally, investors are rushing toward gold as a safe haven asset due to geopolitical uncertainty, which has pushed international prices higher, while domestic Indian prices are trading at an additional premium because of limited supply, meaning consumers are paying even more than global benchmark rates. And interestingly, many jewelry companies are already seeing behavioral changes among customers, with reports suggesting that nearly half of some jewelry sales now come through exchanges of old gold instead of fresh purchases, showing that families are recycling existing jewelry rather than spending heavily on new ornaments. And companies like Titan Company, Kalyan Jewellers, and Senco Gold are expected to remain in focus because any slowdown in gold demand directly affects their business volumes. But beyond the market reaction, Modi's message also reveals a broader economic strategy, because he did not only talk about gold, he also encouraged Indians to reduce fuel consumption, use public transport, adopt electric vehicles, promote work-from-home practices again, and support domestic products. And when you connect all these points together, the bigger picture becomes very clear. The government is trying to reduce unnecessary dollar outflows at a time when India is vulnerable to external shocks caused by expensive oil, global conflict, and supply chain uncertainty. And historically, governments across the world have made similar appeals during difficult economic periods, especially when protecting foreign exchange reserves becomes critical. But what makes this case unique is that India's relationship with gold is extremely emotional and deeply rooted in tradition, particularly in rural areas where gold is often treated as a form of long-term wealth preservation and informal financial security. So convincing people to delay purchases will not be easy at all, especially with the festive season approaching. And many experts believe that while the appeal may help psychologically slow down demand for a while, actual consumer behavior will depend mostly on gold prices and household confidence. Because if prices suddenly fall later in the year, demand could quickly return despite government messaging. At the same time, critics are also asking an important question whether asking citizens to avoid buying gold addresses the real structural issues facing the economy or simply acts as a temporary pressure relief measure. But regardless of which side people support, one thing is certain: this appeal shows that policymakers are genuinely concerned about the combined impact of high oil prices, geopolitical instability, and heavy imports on India's economic health. And for ordinary viewers watching this, the biggest takeaway is that the government appears to be preparing the country for a more cautious financial environment where conserving dollars, controlling imports, and reducing economic vulnerabilities may become national priorities over the next year. And whether you agree with the Prime Minister or not, this story is a reminder that something as personal as buying jewelry can actually connect to much larger issues like currency stability, trade deficits, inflation, and global geopolitics. And that is exactly why this statement has become one of the most talked about economic discussions in India right now.